What is up, car addicts? So after my top 10 favorite cars video last week, a lot of you guys were asking me to make a video on the top 10 cars that I hate in GTA Online as well. Now some of these I strongly dislike. I wouldn't completely say I hate them per se, but obviously that's the way everyone words these types of videos on cars they dislike. And I want to be clear here, this list did take me a while to put together because honestly I think almost every car in GTA is quirky and cool in its own way. But after considering many factors, I did finally come up with a top 10 list for my least favorite cars in game. So let's get right into it. Starting off with number 10, this one is probably going to shock a lot of you guys, but it's the Ubermacht SC1. So this car released with the Doomsday Heist update in 2017. It's mainly based on the BMW homage concept, mixed with the BMW i8, which both of those cars look fantastic in real life, but the model in GTA, especially the side profile and the back end, are just terrible in my opinion. One of my least favorite supercars in the game in terms of exterior design, and then the customization is pretty lackluster as well, and it's also pretty slow for being a supercar, plus it has a lot of understeer when you drive it. I'm just not a fan of the car in general. Next up, on to number 9, we have the Cheval Taipan. So this car was added with the San Andreas Super Sport Series update in 2018, and it has a price of just under $2 million. Now normally I like pretty much most supercars, however this car I'm just not a fan of as an overall car. It's mainly based on the Hennessy Venom F5, one of the most beautiful American cars ever made, but then the one in GTA just looks terrible in my opinion. The proportions are way off. The headlights look terrible, the taillights, the weird license plate placement, the exhaust note that doesn't match it at all, the handling that's pretty terrible too. Plus to top it off, it has those annoying slow handling flags which makes it go slower over bumps and doesn't allow it to double clutch anymore on top of that. So just overall, I dislike pretty much everything about this car, so that's why it's on this list. Moving on to number 8, we have the Menacer. So this armored vehicle released with the After Hours update in 2018, and it's arguably one of the most forgotten armored vehicles in the game, and the main reason for this is because it actually has less armor than the Insurgent and Night Shark, plus it's slower, more expensive, and less off-road capable than the other two. I just think it's a complete waste of money, and Rockstar really should have gave it the same or even slightly better armor than the Insurgent and Night Shark, since it's slower and more expensive than those two. Continuing to number 7, we have the Canis Seminole. So this vehicle is an OG car that's been in the game since day one, and it has no visual customization options, plus it's very slow, and honestly I'm just not a fan of the way it looks personally. I've always felt these older Jeep Grand Cherokee SUVs from the early 2000s were pretty strange looking, but again, that's just my opinion. I actually love the Seminole Frontier, the older one, but that one was based of course on a 1980s Jeep, which had more of a traditional boxy styling, which I personally prefer. But this early 2000s sort of like look where they were starting to make the vehicles more rounded, I'm just not a fan. Next up, on to number 6, we have the Emperor Habanero. So this car is an OG vehicle that's been in the game since day one, and it has no visual customization options, plus it's also very slow and just pretty terrible to drive. And personally, I think this thing is just plain ugly. It's supposed to resemble a Lexus RX, but the proportions are just completely off. It looks kind of like a squished SUV, almost like a hatchback. I'm just not a fan of this car at all. Moving on to number 5, we have the Journey 2. So this vehicle was added as an updated custom personal vehicle variant of the original Journey, and when the image of this thing was first leaked before the DLC release, the community got really excited to see what Rockstar would do in terms of, crazy customization, interior customization, but upon release, all Rockstar did was add some liveries to it, offer normal internal performance mods, and that's it. Now the Breaking Bad cooking time livery reference was cool, but the rest of it was just really disappointing with the lack of customization. Plus you can tell Rockstar really rushed this one because they took off all the rust from the paint job, bumpers, etc., However, they actually left the rust on these stock chrome wheels from the original Journey, just a really lack of care that went into this thing. And to make it even worse, there are a few different variants of the Journey 2. One with open or closed window curtains, etc., one with a ladder on the back, and you actually can't choose which one you want. When you buy it and spend $800,000 on it, you have to hope you get the one you want. If not, you're going to have to buy it over and over until the one you want appears in your garage. Very annoying and something we shouldn't have to go through on a newer DLC vehicle. Continuing to number 4, we have the Dune FAV. So this vehicle was added with the gun running update in 2017. This thing is completely useless in GTA Online. I don't know who thought an open buggy was a good idea for a weaponized combat vehicle. Plus, to even purchase those weapon upgrades, you need to unlock them by doing the annoying bunker research that everyone loves. Plus, the base price of this thing is pretty ridiculous at 1.1 million. I don't see the value in this thing at all. Next up, on to number 3, we have the Barrage. So this vehicle was added with the Doomsday Heist update in 2017 and is ridiculously overpriced at over $2 million. Now I will admit the turret weapons and the customization it offers is pretty great, but the rest of the vehicle is honestly terrible. It's a very open vehicle, so you can get shot out of it pretty easily, and God help you if you try off-roading this thing. I kid you not, it's one of the worst vehicles in the game to off-road with. The suspension is just absolute garbage. It's very glitchy when you land. It loves to flip over all the time, and it's just a pretty terrible vehicle in general to drive. The $2 million price tag is absolute insanity and not worth it at all. Moving on to number 2, we have the RCV. So this vehicle was added with the Doomsday Heist update in 2017 and has a ridiculous normal price of over $3 million. So by seeing that price tag and the size of this vehicle with the armor on the windows and stuff, you would think, wow, this thing must be a tank, probably survives a bunch of missiles. Actually, no, it doesn't survive any explosives at all. It blows up on the first one just like any normal street car. The pushing power is not all that great considering the size of it, and honestly the rest of the thing just sucks. The customization is pretty much just liveries. Now essentially it's supposed to be an armored fire truck with the water cannons and stuff, but if it has the explosive armor as a normal fire truck, there's really no point. This is one of the most useless vehicles in the game, and literally the only time I've ever driven it is when it first released in the customization video back then. And now to record this video, I've literally only driven it twice. Absolutely terrible and useless vehicle. And lastly, on to number 1, my least favorite car in the entire game, we have the Albany Emperor. So this is an OG vehicle that's been in the game since day 1, and the main hatred for this car comes from being a street car. And I can't tell you guys how many times I've been in a situation in free mode where I need to quickly steal a car to quickly get out of an area, not call a mechanic, just any street car that I first see, get into it and take off, get out of a situation. And this is the last car you want to get into because it is terribly, terribly slow. The acceleration is so bad, I'm pretty sure someone on a bicycle would probably beat you for an entire mile. It's just annoyingly slow, plus it has no visual customization options, and honestly I think it's pretty ugly. My least favorite street car and also my least favorite car in the entire game. So there you guys have it, the top 10 cars that I hate in GTA Online. Definitely let me know down below in the comments what cars you guys hate in GTA Online or strongly dislike. Plus what other top 10 videos you guys want to see me do. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.